I assume because they are weebs. That is why they are drawn to Shibuya. Fess began to talk about something completely different. It's a good thing that I don't remember what it was. I mean, okay. Did that have something to do with the D-sword? If not, I didn't care. Felt like I'd say it anyway, though. I needed Fess to tell me how to get a real D-sword. Give me the dick sword. I need it. Shibuya. I mean, Shibuya is famous, Ikebukuro is famous, Akihabara is famous, Tokyo is famous. It's not all Shibuya. Sorry about that. The two Fesses were speaking to me simultaneously, one in front of me and one in back. They were in perfect sync. It felt kind of strange. Maybe Fess had split. Maybe one of them was real and the other wasn't. Or maybe both were fake. I think it's funny, one was in front of me and one was behind me, but the background never changed. Shibuya is the city of youth. That is the fountain of youth. Why? Well, I didn't care. It's always good when your protagonist is asked questions that he doesn't give a shit about the answers to. City of fashion? Because there are stores? That's why the youth like things. Stores. Capitalism, baby. It's probably that one. TV. It's easy to get to, I guess, if you're there. I don't know. I don't know much about the geography of Japan. Isn't it like... Is it central Japan? Oh, never mind. All those answers were wrong anyway. The two Fesses paused for a moment. I felt awkward, with a Fez watching me both in front and the back. Looking at the butt and the front butt. Great will. It's the great journey. Soon the great will begin. But when it does, the weight of your heresy will stay your feet, and you shall be left behind. Oh no. Could this be? It is! Was I being recruited into some kind of weird cult? I started to panic. Yeah, the weeb obsessed with his figurines is worried about cult behavior. I wasn't sure if I should run. But when she said her next words, that ceased to be an option. Stab. My dick sword is a part of a great will. Obviously. Oh boy, Columbo and Son. Bon headed out of the narrow street and back towards Shibuya Station. Suha had been sure they were going to Shinsen, so he looked confused as he followed. I went to college! Crabs! Bon grinned, but Suha looked annoyed. Pictured here. Oh, you really missed out. Occult clubs are where it's at nowadays. Just look at Dandadan and Jujutsu Kaisen. It pays to be in the occult. Occult-kun. So you meet Okarun. I don't know if that's true. Unbalanced gravity. The general electric rate. That's just an APR. He's just making it up. Gravity Error is a pretty cool... That's a cool, like, band name. Gravity Error is my favorite Starset cover band. Gravitation Error, not as good.
グラビテーションエラーレート。直訳すると万有引力の異常値。
The rate at which gravity doesn't work?
物理学の辞典を調べりゃ載ってるはずだぜ。
Yeah, read a book.
載ってたっすかね。
GE rate, the rate at which universal gravitation is unbalanced. Universal gravitation was a basic natural force discovered by Isaac Newton. It was a force that worked on both matter and energy, in that you couldn't conserve it or create it. The layers of geologic strata below the Earth's surface were said to have a huge effect on it. Layers of volcanic rock beneath the Earth, for example, were known for screwing up magnetic fields. Fucking magnetic fields, how do they work? That was why, for instance, compasses wouldn't work in the Aokigahara forest at the base of Mount Fuji. Is that forest? That is Aokigahara. That's why people do that thing there. Because the gravity doesn't work. That's just science. A fossil layer would be another example. It would contain large amounts of iron and calcium, and research showed that these could reflect magnetism. And Magnetite, a Pokemon especially, was known for its effect on gravity. Magneton and Magnezone, less so. Magnetite, and I know it's Magnemite. Magnetite was a naturally occurring magnet with octahedral crystals. If enough of it were to ever be found in a single place, that it would exist as a geologic dike. It would be as if the surface of the Earth itself had turned into a magnet and would likely have a slight effect on the gravity in the area. You could take the effect of these geological factors, that these geological factors had on the gravitational balance of an area, and turn it into a number. That number was its GE rate. Thank you for the science lesson, but since it's in this game, I'm hesitant to call it true. Let's do a little Google. I'm going to do a little Google. Gravitation of error. Interesting that the first thing that pops up is the Chaos Head Wiki fandom. There is a gravitational constant. Difficult to measure with high accuracy. Okay. I don't feel like looking for this anymore because all of it is in reference to Chaos Head Noah, so maybe a little bit of bullshit going on here. But it sounds real enough to be plausible, and that's what they're going for. By the time Bon finished his explanation, the two of them were out on one of the bigger streets in Dogenzaka. The whole area suddenly seemed much brighter, because of the gravity. That's why people love Shibuya so much, because the gravity is so strong. Never mind. Here it is. Here's the bullshit. It's poltergeist logic. Suha had quietly been listening until now, but his reaction was a little overdramatic. He's so shocked he's doing his half smile, half frown thing. His little bent paperclip face. I don't like cerebral sci-fi. Well, get fucked, buddy. Cerebral sci-fi is good. You should watch it. Yeah, and if the friggin' 20-year-old in your group has never heard of it, it can't be true. Yeah, Columbo knows everything. Haven't you watched the show? Yeah, you need to look at things objectively, like me stubbornly telling you about the most nonsensical scientific brouhaha you've ever heard. Be more objective. Suha was right. GE rates were a minor field of study, and not something you'd ever learn in a typical college curriculum. Bond had only found out about them a few weeks ago. Be more objective.
そもそもまだ肝心の答えを聞き渋谷の重力がアンバランスだとなんで若者が
Because young people are unbalanced. What kind of stupid ass answer?
引力と人間ってのは
Humanity has a strange relationship to... It keeps us here. How odd.
お前生き物のバイオリズム
Biorhythms are affected by the gravity of the moon. Is that like that old wives' tale of the moon's gravitational pull affects a woman's cycle? Is that what he's trying to say right now? In this stupid murder mystery game?
潮の満ち引きだけじゃねえんだぜ
It's not just the tides. Oh my god. Sea turtles, yes, they do that.
ああ必ず満月の夜に産卵するってやつだなだがウミガメだけじゃねえ他に有名なのだとサンゴが産卵する
Coral.
満月の夜
Marlin's wife?
ああ海の中が雪降ってるみたいになるやつですね
It's just sperm, buddy.
満月の夜は引力も強くなってるって科学的当然人間
Oh yeah, because it's like right fucking there. Of course it's got an effect on humans, duh. It makes us crazy, it turns us into werewolves. Gosh, read a book.
出産だけじゃねえバイオリズム
Biorhythm.
普通の生理現象はもちろん交通事故や事件
Yeah, here we go. Now we're getting into bullshit. Traffic accidents are more frequent on full moon. That's like a joke.
興奮すると頭に血が上ってるっていうあれは月の引力に引っ張られてるんだよ
Yeah, I think so too, Sua. I think this guy's lost it. I think he needs to get a badge and a gun away from that guy.
まるで個々の感情なんて関係なくて全部月の中だ
The moon causes traffic accidents. I would love if that were real. Oh, sorry, officer. There's nothing I did wrong. You see, the moon caused me to hit this light pole, not my .10 alcohol content.
そこまでは言わねえがな集団心理っていう街に来た途端に楽しい気分に
You start feeling good. You want to go a little crazy. It's because gravity.
の一連の事件に対する反応だったそうで
Yeah, I think he's just throwing anything at the wall that'll stick.
反応
Yeah, go ahead and write that in a report and bring it to your superiors. Like, why are all these murders happening? What happening? Well, you see, the moon was full.
そういう集団心理も
You see, it was the gravitational error done cause the killings. I'll take my promotion to chief of police now.
渋谷に来たら楽しい気分になるってのが若いや若者がこの街に惹かれる理由になるってわけですね
Sua was a quick learner. He swallowed this bullshit wholesale. If you're wondering what I'm drinking, this is limonada de coco. So, this was the last of my batch, and I want more. So I'm trying to slow sip it, but it's so tasty. I tell you that because that's been more interesting than this fucking pseudoscience nonsense. I do understand a heavy portion of the science adventure games are pseudoscience nonsense, but I don't know. Sometimes it's just a bridge too far, you know? Like, if you're gonna do it, like, go full fantastical, don't go, like... I don't know. I think it's better when you just go all the way into, like, the end of the spectrum of crazy pseudoscience versus something that is so close to reality that someone not paying attention could mistake it as being like, oh, maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's a little less interesting. Yeah, we're not going to look into it. I'm just going to mention it. Gonna pad out this runtime.
そのために今日はわざわざ仕事サボってもしこれまでの一連の現場の GE レートが異常をしまさか
Sua's eyes went wide and he stopped in his tracks. He's been stopped in his tracks for the last like 10 minutes. He seemed to have noticed what Bon was leading him toward.
事件は G レートが異常を示している場だとしたら次の事件が起こる場所をある程度予測できるんですね。まあそう決まったわけじゃねえよ。それをこれから調べ
Oh boy. There was something in this town. Something unknown lurking behind the glamour and lights. Maybe it was Pandora's box, which nobody should ever. Yeah, you don't want to open the Pandora's box of gravity. That's what Bon thought as he watched people come and go down the street. That was enough to make me finally snap. Oh yeah, you hadn't done that before, huh? This is where you're gonna snap. Hopefully you make another fun noise like goo, like you did last time. Fez had been continually changing the subject, talking about things that didn't matter at all. The Great Will, the reason young people came to Shibuya. I wasn't interested in those things at all. There was only one thing I wanted to know. One-track mind. I worked up my courage and asked. Fez's expression of ennui stayed unchanged as she looked down at her own D-sword. It was such a huge sword. I see your D-sword is almost as big as mine. She seemed to carry it like it weighed nothing. It occurred to me that Fez might be incredibly strong. Fuck you, man. After all that crap she made me listen to, she wasn't going to tell me the most important thing. What the hell? You have to find it by yourself. Oh, that sucks. I don't want to go searching for nothing. She didn't know. Oh, you didn't know? So how did you get one in your hands? But the D-sword only reveals itself to those who have the power. She's the one who said that. So people who didn't have the power couldn't see it? I could see it quite clearly. What did that mean? What did she mean by the power? Maybe I can't read tonight. I didn't put anything in this Limonada de Coco, so... Did she mean that I had superpowers too? Like the two Fesses with me? I can't see a sword. You holding something? That can mean only one thing. If having that power was why Yua and Shogun were coming after me, then I didn't even want it. I don't want power. Fuck power. I do want the sword, but I don't want to have the power to wield it. Dipshit. I still wanted a D-sword. They're so cool. It reminds me of my Japanese animes. Fez said that having it would save me. The Great Will. The reason young people came to Shibuya. Those things didn't matter to me. I don't give a fuck about any of the shit you're talking about. Just give me the cool sword. This is the only relatable thing about this guy. He doesn't want to listen to any backstory. Just give me the fucking sword. I didn't need any power. I didn't want any trouble. I do want a sword, though. I need the sword to protect me from Yua and Shogun. As if this guy could fucking wield a sword. One block and this guy's done. But Fez's answer was vague and hard to understand. I bit my lip, trying to figure out how to get more information out of her. But I could barely talk to 3D girls, even on a good day. Trying to figure out a way to get information out of one was beyond me. I tried to think back to the Excuse me. I'm not reading that. I hate this fucking... I want you to take a look at this screen. Just gonna have a moment of silence for this line of dialogue here. Do you think this will do anything to change him? Do you think he will change his ways upon realizing that he is a piece of shit? Because I realized this about him hours ago. Fess had turned away from me and was walking deeper into the tunnel. Kishimoto Ayase, thank you for telling me, so I can forget it tomorrow. Only then did I realize we hadn't introduced ourselves to each other. Freak. Fess, Ayase, had her back to me, so I couldn't see the look on her face. I couldn't tell why she laughed, and I couldn't tell why she laughed. This pervert, we should meet again. I wouldn't want to meet him. You should just stab him with your fucking sword. Ayase got further and further away. She's not even on screen anymore. I turned around, a little afraid, to look at what the other Ayase was doing. And she was gone entirely. Whether she'd literally disappeared or just walked out of the tunnel, I couldn't tell. Ayase had said she was a delusion. Was that the power of a D-sword? I looked back down the tunnel. There was another staircase 50 meters down the tunnel. Ayase was walking up it. Before long, she was entirely gone from view. I was left alone with the silence of the eerie tunnel, and the thought that I was just a piece of shit. I didn't have the courage to yell at her. Neither do I. I'll wake up the people in my house. Can't have that. And I was too tired and lazy to run after her. In the end, all I could do was go back home and try my best to make sure Yua and the police didn't find me. Also lick my figurines. It felt like a long time since I'd been back to the base. In fact, I'd only been gone about 12 hours. The PC was still on. His electric bill must be out of control. And my Sataton screensaver, pictured here, was smiling into the dark room. I made sure to carefully lock the door from the inside, and then threw myself on you live in a storage container. When I closed my eyes, all the things that had happened to me today came flooding back. I couldn't believe the cops thought I was the killer. I mean, I'm just so innocent. They were totally wrong. There's no way I could kill anybody. Right? Do your jobs, damn it. This isn't a game. Oh, it's funny because it is. I shouldn't joke about that. I put in a very, very similar line. In fact, almost the exact same line in my own visual novel, so who am I to judge? I bet they were just coming after me because I was creepy otaku. Otaku had low social status. Nobody would complain if one was made out to be the killer. Yeah, I bet. You see, I would peg you for other crimes before I would peg you for murder. In your defense, Takumi Nishijo. They weren't making any progress finding the real killer, so they wanted to make me out to be a scapegoat. Damn it. How was I supposed to clear my name? Stop killing people. The events at Cafe came back to me, and I shivered. There was somebody even scarier than the police out there. Just one? Yua was my enemy. I let my guard down because I hadn't seen her for a while. I thought she was just going to leave me alone. But today I realized my mistake. I needed the D-sword to fight these people. I looked over at the cheap sword next to my computer. It was a fake. According to Ayase, only those with power could see a real one. But Nanami had been able to see mine on the day I bought it. And unlike Ayase and Sena's, my sword didn't glow. Where was the real sword? I needed it as soon as I could get it. I hear sirens. Is that real or is that in-game? Those are real wee-woos. Otherwise, I was doomed. I was so sick of all this awful stuff that kept happening to me. You have did.
重人格
Oh boy. No, that's not true. It's impossible. That's impossible. They say multiple personality disorder is really rare in Japan. I don't know if that's true. You just saw too many movies, read too many novels, unlike me playing too many games and reading too many age games. I didn't have multiple personalities. There's no evidence anywhere. Anywhere. Oh. Nah, it doesn't count. There's no evidence except for all the evidence, but that evidence doesn't count because I said so. It would explain that chat log. There's no evidence I don't have multiple personalities. I'm just saying me. It is kind of amusing, though. He's having an argument with himself about whether or not he's got multiple personalities. Shut up, myself. What do you know? But then, Dr. Takashina vanished right after that for no good reason. But I wasn't sure who I was. Suddenly, I felt the prickling on the back of my neck. The same as always. Someone's gaze, watching me. Whose eyes are those? Mine. They're mine. Yeah, he did it. But did Shogun even really exist? How did I know that he wasn't just a delusion? Signs point to no. I held my head in my hands and screamed out to an empty room. An answer came from... Seira. I slowly walked over to my PC and opened the email. It was from Grim. The subject was, found something cool. It was probably more Guro or some mental browser crash image. I didn't have time to deal with his trolling, but I decided I'd at least read it. I don't have time for this, but I will open it and investigate further. Nightheart, how come you're not in chat? You're not playing ESO? I couldn't find you, so I had to send you an email. Lol, Mewtube. This video's totally nuts, you gotta see it. I know you probably think I'm just trolling you, but it's got the new gen killer in it. Everybody online is talking about it, so you gotta watch or you'll be left out. Lol. A video of a new gen murder taken by the killer. My fingers were shaking on top of the mouse. I couldn't take my eyes off the text. Did it show who the killer was? I gotta adjust. Ow, my leg's falling asleep. It's like my brain's falling asleep playing this game. Part of me wanted to see it, and part of me firmly resisted. This would be proof. Proof I wasn't the killer. Or maybe proof that I was. I didn't know which it would be. It was like gambling in a way. I felt my heart begin to race as I moved my mouse cursor over the link. But I couldn't work up the courage to click it. She ain't gonna do that. We heading for the bad end, sister. Yeah, don't treat me like I'm the killer. I'm a good boy. Don't try to have sympathy for me. Don't have sympathy for the killer. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. You're the one who's working for the killer. Anger boiling within me, I clicked on the link. It opened a Mewtube page. The video's window read, loading. I mean, you say Boku Janai enough. I think it is, well, not from me, but Boku Desu. Attention freaks. It's me. The video only took 10 seconds to load, but to me, those 10 seconds felt like an eternity. 10 seconds to load, his internet must have been shitty. Eventually the loading ended, and the video began to play. It was showing someplace very dark. The background was totally black. Was it indoors somewhere? It's called Group Dive Video. Is this indoors? Like, clearly on a helipad. Is this indoors? The background noise sounds like Daffy Duck going woohoo, 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 woohoo. I brought my face close up to the monitor to see if I could make out any details. It was dark and hard to tell, but there seemed to be several boys and girls there. They were all talking really loudly. Maybe it was the low audio bitrate of the video, or maybe it was that they were all so excited, but I couldn't make out what they were saying at all. Yeah, I can hear a woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. Daffy Duck style. Sometimes they would scream violently, and the static from the low-quality mic would be awful. Excuse me, Mr. Murderer, could you get some better audio-video equipment, please? After watching a while, I could tell that there were 5 people there. 6 if you included the cameraman. The cameraman was carefully staying out of frame by being behind the camera. Very cautiously staying behind the camera. It was hard to make out the faces of the others in the darkness, too. They seemed to be cheering each other, rubbing each other's foreheads, giving out friendly pats on the back and hugs. The girls seemed to be crying with joy in loud voices, too. It was a strange scene, sure, but what did it have to do with New Gen? Brother, what's the name of the video, you dipshit? Was it really the New Gen killer who was filming this? If nothing else, I didn't remember doing it. I guess it is just kind of incoherent shouting. After a short while, the person holding the camera slowly began to move forward, zooming in almost. The 5 people in the shot, originally about 5 meters away, began to loom larger in the frame. The video's resolution was very low. Maybe they dropped down the bitrate as low as it could go during encoding to keep the file size as low as possible. Wow, science, actual science. Cameras these days all had night mode on them. Why wasn't the cameraman using it? Maybe it was an old camera. Suddenly the camera panned from left to right, showing the surrounding area. What I thought was a black background was actually the night sky. This video was being filmed outside. The reason I hadn't seen any buildings was because they were on top of a skyscraper. The 5 boys and girls were standing right on the edge of a tall skyscraper. Behind them was a sheer drop. You could see the lights of Shibuya spreading out from below. Finally, I understood. I knew what this footage meant. I knew why Grimm said that New Gen Killer had to have taken it. The case where 5 boys and girls had jumped off the locked roof of Cornelius Tower. The one New Gen case where they weren't sure if it was a suicide or a murder. If this video showed the 5 who died in the jump, then that would mean a 6th person was there when it happened. I'd been wrong about what they were doing. They were all crouching on the ground, clinging together and crying. Because I'm an idiot, and I thought that noise was happy, jubilant. They all seemed to know they were about to die, and they couldn't accept it. One was shaking their head no over and over. One was on their knees, sobbing and ripping at their hair. One was screaming at the cameraman, demanding to know why they were doing this. One had already gone crazy and was crying while they laughed. What I saw was a violent desire for life, and a powerful wish not to die, and helpless fury at the unfair situation they were in. But what was strange was, the cameraman's voice wasn't in the video at all. The person recording the video was almost eerily calm. The video was close to a month old. Nothing I said now would change it. I knew it was meaningless, but I still couldn't help but scream at the monitor. Yeah, you know, Yabero and all that. But of course, my words went unheard, and the person holding the camera kept walking toward the five of them. Or I zoomed in my own face I just put my own head closer to the screen. They began to crawl away from the camera in fear. But it didn't matter. The edge of the heliport was right behind them. There wasn't any kind of safety fence. There was nowhere to run for the five of them. Another step back and they'd fall. The camera slowly kept going forward as if taunting them, oblivious to their cries. Just some guy going like, come on, go. And they're like, ah, what do I do? But even as it got close, whoever was holding it did nothing but move forward. He was just a wall. Then suddenly, all five fell silent. They didn't make any motion toward each other, and nothing happened to cause it, but they all fell silent at the exact same moment. They stood up. The wind on top of Cornelius Tower was strong. It threatened to knock them over. If they slipped, they'd fall. I don't know why we need the tension building here. They fall. And then they all took each other's hands as if in resignation. Their hands clasped tightly with one another's. Silence is golden. Even the sound of the blowing wind felt like it had stopped. The only thing I could hear was the sound of the cars traveling on the highway below the skyscraper. The cameraman still didn't do a thing. And then, one of the five, ever so softly, whispered. Whose eyes are those? Oh my god, that's the spooky catchphrase of the game. I froze in front of the monitor, as if a cold hand had reached into my chest and grabbed my heart. Ouch. This was the first new gen case, right? Why had this boy suddenly said, whose eyes are those? That was the dying message in the fourth case, the vampire incident. This made no sense. The video continued, oblivious to my screams. The five of them slowly stepped off the edge, as if there was a path waiting for them there, and then they fell off into the darkness of the city sky. I bit my lip and covered my eyes. Yeah, I think even in 2008 you couldn't have posted a video like this on YouTube. I know this is fake, legally distinct YouTube, but YouTube was never like LiveLeak or Rotten.com. You couldn't just post this type of shit on YouTube, even in the early days. That's the noise they made. Group dive wasn't a suicide. It was a giant fart. This was murder. The killer was there when it happened. And who was the cameraman? Whose camera is those? I knew the answer. Muffled by the strong wind on the roof, hidden by the sounds of the screaming and crying, and between the bursts of the car horns from the highway below, there was another sound that I could just barely hear. It was the sound of creaking metal. Iron Man did it. A sound that I only heard when the cameraman moved forward. The sound of a wheelchair. That camera's too low for the ground for somebody who's standing up. We finished another chapter. About fucking time. The news about the leaked video of Group Dive quickly became a huge deal, of course. The net was, like Grimm said, in an uproar. A lot of people on 8chan were saying that this proved that all 4 New Gen murders were committed by the same person. The killer has got to be Whose Eyes Are Those? The guy who uploads the video to YouTube has got to be the killer, right? Totally Whose Eyes Are Re. Okay, I'll call the cops. Whose eye are those or wasafab bab? The Whose Eyes messages showed up at the Vampire crime scene too. Now there's a connection between the first and last New Gen murders. People have been saying there was no connection at all, but I guess they were wrong. So then the pregnant man and Crucified are also... Oh shit, this is exciting. I don't even know what that is. Whose eyes are those? And since the vampire case was the first time we saw Whose Eyes, that means that the killer can't be somebody who saw the Group Dive and tried to copy it. They have to be the same guy. Don't look at me, lol. Whose eyes are those? I saw the video and it looks like fake bullshit to me. Don't look at me. Yeah, it looks like fake bullshit. I bet one Perica, it's some theater group trying to make a name for themselves. Don't say Whose Eyes, guys. You're just egging the killer on. So this means all New Gen murders were the same guy, right? Whose eyes are those? Maybe the other side of that ledge only drops down 2 meters and there's like a mat or something under it, lol. Agreed. As long as that phrase is popular, we're gonna keep seeing more murders. Cut it the hell out. It's not funny anymore. Whose eyes? Don't look at me. I live in Shibuya. Sob, lol. Don't look at me. It's the most viewed YouTube video. Hey, lol. Don't look at me, lol. It's the top article on MHK News. K'tkur. Has Whose Eyes claimed responsibility yet? The TV was just excited. 140 was right. All the non-government run TV stations, except for TVTK, had done specials on it, and they've been showing the video nonstop. None of the specials were longer than an hour, but the fact that the video was broadcast all over the country was shocking. Of course, all the stations cut the last part where they jump, but the effect they had was incredible. The TV commentators were saying more or less the same thing as the internet, that all 4 of the New Gen cases were the work of the same killer. It was inevitable that they'd say that. At last, the New Gen cases had something in common. Whose eyes are those? The phrase that was so popular in Shibuya right now. It had originally been thought that these words only appeared during the 4th incident, the vampire case. But one of the victims of the Group Dive said the phrase as well, despite it taking place over a month before vampire Now, out of the 4 murders, it had appeared in 2, the first and the most recent one, which meant it was probably the same person responsible for all 4. Whoa. The police held an emergency press conference to announce that they were doing everything they could to find the uploader of the video. A few politicians issued statements expressing their anger and sorrow and demanding that the killer be caught immediately. Well done, politicians. I demand this person be caught. Unlike any other, I don't demand that. The video was deleted by YouTube's administrators less than 3 hours after upload, but it was too late. Yeah. See, that would have been a lot... Even, I think, back then, I feel like that would have been a lot quicker. If you would have posted something like that, I feel like it would have been removed within, like, minutes, not hours. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misremembering the moderation of early YouTube. It was a cesspool, to be sure, but... @channers everywhere had downloaded it, and nobody could stop it from being spread now. That I believe. That would have happened. And then, late that night, the police made their next announcement. Police 2, police harder. That's their announcement. The video of the group dive incident was uploaded from a manga cafe named At Cafe, specifically the PC in room 37. Oh my god. Lies a lot did it. That's so crazy. I love that. Ooh, this is fun. I haven't gotten to do this in a while. And no. Bye-bye, little birdie. I love that. I love banning people. It's so much fun. Come to my Twitch stream so you can watch me ban bots. I sat in my seat and leaned forward, my head pressed against my arms. I'd been listening in on the conversations around me without even realizing I was banning bots. Today, I was feeling really sensitive toward other people's voices. Yeah, just looking out for one phrase, there he is. After listening to a few conversations, I realized that everybody was talking about group dive, just like I thought they would be. Some of the girls were even saying, "Whose eyes are those?" as a joke. Did they not know that that hurt my feelings? I bit my lip and stared down at my desk, looking every bit as suspicious as possible. That video was proof. Proof that Shogun was real. Proof I wasn't the killer. So I didn't have multiple personalities. The old man in the wheelchair was the new gen killer. But why had Shogun uploaded the video? Nobody had any clues to the identity of the killer. Why would he reveal himself now? I thought about it and come to two possible conclusions. The first was that Shogun may have just wanted attention and recognition for his crimes. Given how he'd shown himself to me, that seemed likely. I am a great barometer for how the rest of society will react. The other was as a challenge to me. Because I am a real challenge. For some reason, Shogun and his servant Yua were after me. I didn't know why, but they'd almost succeeded in making me out to be the new gen killer. The police might still suspect me. Shogun was trying to trap me, even now. Whose eyes are those? And I will kill them. Don't forget, everlasting gobstopper. You mustn't run. Oh, but I must. That's what the Shogun I'd seen had said. As near as I could tell, what he meant to say was, I'm going to kill you, so don't run away. It was a threat. Fucking the king of misunderstanding, Takumi Nishijo. And now he'd uploaded a video for all of Japan to see. He was escalating things. He must have moved to the next stage of his plan. Frame Nishijo. But it would be naive to think this meant he'd given up on me. I should assume that his attacks and plots were only going to get worse. I was very scared. That video was terrifying. Shogun was weaker and frailer than even I was, but I am a challenge. But he'd killed 5 teenagers without even laying a finger on them. Wow, you wrecked that guy without even laying a finger on him. Welcome to the salty spittoon. If he was behind all the new gen killings, that would mean that even the pregnant man, crucified, and vampire were all done by his hand, despite his tiny, frail body. People who are diminutive, they can't commit crimes. They're too small. Maybe Yua had helped. Either way, I didn't have any hope of protecting myself from people who could do something like that. I felt anger at being chosen as their target so arbitrarily, but I also felt afraid of them. And then, whose eyes are those? There was that message too. Whenever I let my guard down for a moment, my body started to shiver. I had to stay tense at all times if I was going to keep myself from losing control. He's just at school, like that meme of the kid where you see his vein popping out of his temple. That's just Takumi Nishijo at all times at school. Just seething. Yeah, that's sure to get people to not suspect you. Is like, this guy looks like he is actively trying to shit his skeleton out. I kept a close eye on my surroundings and made sure I was ready to run if someone approached. It's a good thing you're staying at the in the generic anime position of right by the window in the back, second to last row. Shogun, or maybe Yua, could appear at any moment. Yua, especially because she is a student. It was entirely possible that Shogun had more servants than just Yua, after all. Maybe some of my classmates, the kids who were laughing and chatting around me right now, were under his influence too. I had to avoid being caught off guard, like I was at Ad Cafe yesterday. Otherwise, this time, I'd be killed. Here's hoping. I needed to find that D-sword. If I wanted to get out of this alive, I needed that D-sword. After talking to ISA and Senna and looking on the internet, I was getting more and more sure of it. If I could get the D-sword, I'd be saved. While I was watching things unfold the internet last night, I'd also been doing everything I could to find information on the D-sword. I'd gotten nowhere. I moved my hands up to my head and tore at my greasy hair. I don't shower. How the hell was I supposed to get a D-sword? No, hopefully that's not an indication that I have to press some kind of button, because I'm not gonna do it. That's what ISA had said, but I didn't even have a hint as to where to start. It wasn't fair. I was getting more and more scared, and I wasn't making any progress. The fear was crushing me. Come on, death, bad end, let's go. Give me the bad end. I had to find it. I had to find the D-sword fast. I needed the D-sword, no matter what. Gotta find it, or it's over. I have to find it before I become the victim in the next New Gen case. But find it how? I don't even know where to start. There has to be a hint, some kind of hint. If I don't hurry, I'll lose my chance. Can I find it? I'm not doing it. I'm not pressing any buttons other than A. We're going straight through to the end, brother, and if that's because I don't press the right button, I don't care. I didn't have time to be here at school. My life, graduating school. There was no question which one was more important. So why was I? Then I heard somebody getting close to my seat. I tensed up, jerking my head upwards. Damn. Can you pull out a sword and just right in the neck? It was Rimi. She was standing there, blinking in surprise at my sudden movement. You're the one that surprised me. Don't scare me like that, bitch. I relaxed, sighed, and dropped my head on the desk. It's never Daijobu. If you have to ask me if it's Daijobu, it's not Daijobu. Daijobu janai. She peered over me like she always did. I quickly looked away. You like you've seen a ghost. A ghost with a sword. That's just a normal state of being. He's just gross. Again, all normal. Things you should expect. Was Rimi on my side, or was she my enemy? After she'd saved me once, I was a lot less cautious around her. But that meant I was also just ignoring all the things that made me suspect her in the first place. Why did I see her covered in blood during the Crucified murder? If she and I were friends since my first year of school, why didn't I remember it? I'm not friends with anyone. What do you think? Rimi looked a little concerned. Yeah, fucking, Daijobu style. I turned my head away from her. There was no way I could ask her any of these questions to her face. Yeah. So I left, or she disappeared. When the day's classes finally ended, I was mentally exhausted. Even during class, I'd been ignoring the lecture and constantly keeping an eye on my surroundings. I hadn't slept since yesterday, but I felt so tense that I was actually more alert than usual. Yeah, that's what happens when you're exhausted. The school day seemed to drag on for an eternity, and the longer it went, the more miserable I felt. Why did time seem to pass so much slower or faster depending on your mental state? Because when you're looking forward to something, things feel like they take forever. And when you're not looking forward to something, you trick yourself into thinking it's just around the corner. They say time flows at the same rate for everybody, but there's no way that's true. Time is subjective, in a manner of speaking. The reaction to time is subjective. If you asked me, the things like hours and minutes were just somebody's secret conspiracy to hide that subjectivity, to make everyone think it was the same. That's what they are. It's big clocks trying to convince you that time doesn't move properly. And if time's flow is subjective, didn't that imply you could control it? I only thought of that because of what Senna said about controlling other people's will. Didn't that imply? Are you blind when you're born? Have you really not? Is there really not a man who's heard of a jellicle cat? That joke would have been a lot better if I'd remembered it. If you could take the image recorded by a video camera, turn it into electrical pulses, and send it into the brain in a way that could be understood, didn't that imply that you could also take images in the mind and turn them into electrical signals too, and then send them to some kind of device to be turned into a video? There was no need for the signals to be coming from a video camera anyway. For example, what if you hooked up a hard drive with a recording of a travel program? Or what if it wasn't a travel program, but an anime? An anime is just a delusion. It's 2D. Yeah, it's just a delusion. I've deluded myself into watching all these anime over the years. Excuse me. But somebody born blind would never even have seen 3D images. And therefore, they would not trust 3D girls. If you told them this was what the world looked like, would they believe the 2D world was real? Wouldn't that mean, from their perspective, that a delusion was real? For example, let's say that somebody we'll call A, girl A maybe, has an image in their brain. You could send it to a hard drive and then turn it into a video and then broadcast it into B's brain. Then A's delusion would become B's reality. Their delusions would become real. It would be theoretically possible, right? Wow, lol, I'm a genius, lol. I became incredibly excited about my own idea. Instead of doing a normal thing and jotting it down to create a fucking visual novel game with it, I decided to perv on all my classmates. Maybe this was the key to getting a D-sword. ISA had said the D-sword was a delusion, after all. Okay, time to head home and look it up online. Just Google, how do I make delusional sword appear? After that, I leapt up, bag in hand, ready to go. Haha, she's fucking back, let's go. But that girl was standing at the door, looking at me. Oh, man. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Half my classmates are still in the room. I could feel them staring at me coldly like this fucking guy. Run away. Run away. Don't look at me. Run away. Please don't look at me. Run. Panicking, I knocked aside my classmates and headed out the other door, the one opposite from where Yua was standing. I ran until I made to the courtyard, where I was suddenly overtaken by the urge, oh man, to vomit. Here we go, puking, back on the table, baby. I tried to hold it in, but it was useless. Everywhere. I dropped to my knees and threw up. That noise, it's like fucking Nickelodeon ass sound effects. Stomach acid stung my throat. My eyes were blurry. It hurt to breathe. There was a disgusting taste in my mouth from the vomit. I guess I was under a lot more stress than I thought I was. I'm trying to prove my innocence in 4 fucking murders. I think I might be a little stressed. Maybe it was because I've been up all night. Yeah, maybe that was it. Oh my god, there he is. Looks like he's trying to claw through the fucking wall. I wiped the edges of my mouth as I looked around frantically. Nobody was there. Thank God this school is empty. But the blind spots and shadows that I'd normally ignored now seemed terrifying to me. I started to think that Yua and Shogun could be lurking anywhere, and once the idea was in my head, I couldn't take another step. Somebody help me. I wanted to cry, and the urge to vomit came back too. Ooh, double trouble, let's go. This time I didn't throw up, but I coughed and gasped for air, and it was like the next best thing. It hurt so much that even more tears came. Then I felt a soft hand rubbing my back. Let's see, is it going to be Yua, or is it going to be Rimi? Rimi. Daijobu, it's not Daijobu. Chica, you have no idea, it's never Daijobu. Rimi was there. Oh, no, it's not. She wasn't asking me. She was gently telling me. She showed no sign of disgust at the smell of my vomit. She looked at me like, as I looked up at her like, she was like, having second thoughts about allying with this guy. Or the way my face was covered in snot and tears with dried remains of my stomach contents. She had a gentle smile as if she was trying to make me feel better. And also keep her distance because yuck. She came up to me and rubbed my back gently. Why? Doshite? When I'd wanted somebody to save me before, she'd appeared then too. Like a superhero coming to save the day. But Seiratan says, don't trust, don't trust. Why was it having her around me made me feel so much safer? Why did I feel so much better? It's almost like friendship and affection. Helps. The next thing I knew, I was spilling my guts out to her. In what way? Even though I hated talking about myself. Maybe that's why I'd come to school today. Until now, I'd always thought I was better off alone. I'm better off alone, no matter how hard I try. You're never satisfied. This is not a home, I think I'm better off alone. I don't think I had any hope of being friends with them, but after everything I was going through with Yua and Shogun, I felt so scared and lonely. Scared and lonely, you won't be scared, you won't be lonely. Somebody just went through their damn fucking 3 Days Grace playlist. You get a little pain without love. Misery loves your company. Break away from everybody. Break away from everything. If you can't stand the way this place is, then take yourself to higher places. I wanted somebody to be by my side. I didn't even need them to be nice to me. I just needed them to be there. Rimi, I hate everything about you. You fool. It's only gonna get you killed. In her words, there was no malice, no hesitation. I mean, you could. You could. If you really wanted to. She smiled and suddenly looked up the sky, did her little anime pose, holding her hand up. Even though that's Sheena Mayuri's thing, and if you steal it, I'm uninstalling the game. What was she looking at? I felt she was staring at something far off in the distance. Wow. What a commitment. Oh, that's a little spicy. Like a bedroom. Nice chat. Room. Storage container. I think he needs more. I've always wanted to dote on a useless man. But that almost sounds like you'd be my girlfriend, and you're 3D and I can't hear that shit. I was in shock. She wanted to be my girlfriend even though I suck. She was serious, at least as near as I could tell from looking at her. Why? Because? Oh, you better have a good answer for this. This is a fucking loaded question. This was leading where I thought it was, right? Her next words might be because I like you, right? I couldn't understand what about me she could possibly like, though. No, wait. This was a Kume's trap. A clever trick to get me to let my guard down. Oh my god. It had happened before, right? Yua had deceived me and then betrayed me. I couldn't get my hopes up. I needed to imagine the worst case scenario. Rimi might be an enemy too. Snap your neck. She did suddenly salute. That is a thing that she did. I was caught off guard by her sudden action and worried that she might actually about to reveal her horrible true nature by karate chopping me in the throat until I died. But I could still see the gentle smile on her face. I mean, I got friends too, but the height of our friendship is not going to be me doting on them. Friends, huh? If she'd said, because you're my boyfriend, it might have felt like a whole new life for me was about to begin. But even if it was as friends, it made me so incredibly happy. I love this friend thing, it's lovely. Having someone else be nice to me, having someone do something for me without expecting a reward. I didn't realize how happy that would make me. Maybe it was something I'd never experienced before, but more than that, it made me feel like I wasn't alone, and that maybe interacting with the 3D world did have some positives. Rimi was my salvation. My salvation. The urge to throw up finally subsided, and I felt a lot better. She offered me a red handkerchief that smelled like flowers. Girl, what you need to offer him is a goddamn breath mint. He stank. I took it, but I was hesitant to use it. Yeah, let me just get that all in there for you. Here, you want this back? You can get it dirty if you want. You're gonna get it dirty, alright. You have made a mistake. I felt guilty, but at this point, I decided to just take advantage of anything she'd offer me. I wiped away the barf. Yeah, I'm gonna wash this for you, don't you worry about that. This was the first time a girl who wasn't in my family had given me a present. I wasn't sure if you could call it a present, though. Yeah, it's literally a rag. But for somebody who was totally alone, like me, even something small like this was an incredible treasure. I hit the wrong button, I did. The joy and sense of relief made me feel like I was gonna cry again. Now let's go home. Nah, you don't want to hang out in the puke puddle? It's a new landmark. She smiled innocently. Ishoni together. What she just said about staying with me seemed, in her mind, to be a settled matter. I hadn't given an answer, but she didn't care. But of course, I didn't plan on saying no. I was afraid of being alone. I didn't want to be alone. Right now, Rimi was all I could rely on. But that didn't mean that everything would be fine from now on. I still chose a different route home than usual, and I kept looking over my shoulder the whole way. Danger seemed to lurk in every shadow, shake hands with danger. Each time I came to an intersection, I had delusions of Yua and Shogun lurking around the corner and froze up, unable to go forward. Then Rimi would go ahead of me, looking down the street and turning to give me a nod. It's not Daijobu. Gave a sigh of relief and followed. Rimi stayed with me, not seeming annoyed at all. Uh-oh. Mask off time. I wasn't sure whether I could tell Rimi. If I told her, and Shogun came after her too, that would be my fault. Oh, cool. Good thing she gave up on her line of inquiry almost instantly. Looking a little unsettled was all it took to have her go, hey, you know what, never mind, I don't think I want to know. You up to some shit, for sure. I've seen your storage container. You up to something no good. Okay, I'll tell you. Do you know the Muffin Man? I started to speak. I was reluctant to get her involved, sure, but if I didn't explain what was going on, she wouldn't understand how desperate my situation was. I decided to ignore the risk to her for the sake of helping myself. Yeah, fuck you. This is how you know he'll never be cool with the 3Ds. He's gonna fucking throw him under the bus first chance he gets. This guy sucks. She was the one who told me she'd stay by my side, so alright, time to test that shit. I told her about Shogun, the one behind the New Gen murders, and about his servant Yua. That the two of them were after me. What had happened in front of the 107. I kept tripping over my tongue, but I managed to get it all out. Bah. When I told her about Shogun, the man in the wheelchair, she frowned a little. That was the thing I'd wanted to ask her about most. Now was the perfect chance to do it too. Ever. Of all time, never seen him. She didn't sound very confident. She paused, as if she was about to say something that was hard to say. So she hadn't seen anything strange at all that night. I'd hoped she'd tell me if she'd seen the same things I had. Rimi and I had seen different things. Which of us had seen what really happened? Was I just wrong? Was that empty Shibuya just a delusion of mine? Oh gee, I wonder. But there was a problem then. That old man in the wheelchair in the empty Shibuya, Shogun. How could you explain him? If the empty Shibuya was just a delusion, then Shogun might be a delusion too. Who could notice something like that? Probably the most inclusive line of dialogue in this whole thing. If somebody was in a wheelchair, I wouldn't have noticed because they would have just been there like a normal person, and that wouldn't have been strange. Ha 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 ha. That's okay. We didn't expect you to help at all. Shogun wasn't a delusion of mine, I was sure of that. Based on what? You haven't been sure of anything. Shouldn't the whole point be that you're not sure? I thought he might be at first, but my opinion had changed totally after I'd seen the video of the group dive. The Shogun who'd taken that video was real, but that was proof he existed. But the empty Shibuya could have been a delusion, maybe. Shibuya had been filled with people then. It just looked empty to me, that was all. But what did that mean? Oh, what is she gonna have us do? She put her hands together as if pleading with me. Oh god, what did it... I gotta stop pressing the wrong button, shit. Hey, I think I might be hallucinating crazy style. I need your help. You wanna go to Radio Shack? Buy a CD? It's not okay. I want to go to the base. Sorry, guys. Chewing on some ice. If I refused, I might upset Remy. She might even get mad and abandon me. Hey, I really don't want to go buy CDs right now. Well, I guess our friendship is herewith dissolved. That would be bad. I needed her to stay with me. I didn't even think I could get back to the base on my own. I am fucking lost. I just picked a random route. In the end, I wasn't able to refuse. I followed behind her, fear increasing with each step I took. Every step you take, whose eyes are those? Hopefully, even Yua would be reluctant to attack me with this many people around. Hopefully not. But I was more scared of the idea that Shogun and Yua could be lurking in the crowds than relieved by the thought of getting lost in them. Each time somebody came close to me, I felt myself screaming internally. Meme style. My body froze. I quickly hid behind Remy. Arrest her, not me! She was right. There were 2 police cars stopped next to the street. 3 uniformed officers were standing next to them. The police were after me too. I hadn't actually done anything, but they were too stupid to understand that. Yeah, they're too stupid. They're too dumb to know that very suspicious me isn't responsible. Were they looking for me, I wondered? But after a moment, I realized they weren't. They were staring at a crowd that was marching down the street. A protest, maybe? Gee, I wonder. They were all carrying signs and waving flags, and they even had sashes and headbands. There was a little girl in the rows of protesters looking confused as she was pulled along by her parents. On her shirt were the words, "Whose eyes are those?" were written with a black magic marker. I bit my lip when I saw it. How, they're protesting whose eyes those are. The crowd was full of men and women. We're full of ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages. D-Generation X proudly brings to you the new gen, 5-time new gen murders of the world. Yeah, the road dog Jesse James, the badass Billy Guns, the new age outlaws. And who cares about Billy's part? As they march, they'd sometimes yell out slogans. Yeah, just like the New Age Outlaws. Drive the demons out of Shibuya. I don't think the New Age Outlaws ever said that. Some of the signs said things like, drive the demons out of Shibuya, or protect Shibuya from terrorists. Oh, Jesus. It was probably a protest over the new gen murders. You think? Their signs say, whose eyes are those? You think, oh, then maybe this has to do with the crime. Protesting wasn't going to accomplish anything. I don't agree with that. If they had time to protest, they should just find and kill Shogun instead. If you got time to protest, you should just get a job. That's what I expected him to say. I wouldn't have to feel so scared all the time. You should just kill the fucking old man in the wheelchair who's after me. Then I won't be so worried. Nimi looked away from the protesters, seemingly disinterested, and began to walk toward the CD shop. Yeah. Not a very effective protest. People just look at it and go, huh, and then walk away. Once inside, she headed straight for the indie CD corner. Oh, she's a fan of the underground shit. All right. Unlike the J-pop section, weren't many people here. She stopped in front of the P shelf, hoping to find the lies of P, and began to look for a CD. What was the name of ISA's Fez's group? She gave up. Oh, good. Oh. An indie band whose name started with P? Could it be POD? Phantasm. I knew it was some stupid shit like that. They're really big right now. I should have guessed that was what she was after. Of course I knew about them. I'd gone to a concert and even owned a CD. I nodded and she chuckled. I just know one of our classmates is the lead singer.
それで友達に借りようかと思ったんだけど、なかなかだから CD 買うしかないかなって思って、ここ1週間ぐらい
If it's everywhere, is it still going to be in the indie section?
次はいつ入るんだろう。
Trucks tend to come on Tuesdays or Thursdays. At least in the places I worked. Rimi's eyes went wide.
持ってる
You own a CD? I nodded, and then Rimi put her hands on my shoulders, getting touched. Her face was so close, I almost flinched. Almost. I'm becoming a tough boy now. The smell of her shampoo tickled my nostrils, and I could feel my face turning red.
ねえタク、取引しよう。
Trade?
その CD 貸してくれたら、見返りに私
Let's guess, gang. What kind of horrible suggestion is she gonna make? Actually, I'm guessing it's gonna be something incredibly tame, but he's still gonna lose his shit over it. So I'll give you a kiss on the cheek. Her face was dead serious. I gulped. I'll what?
と
She seemed to be lost in thought. She's envisioning it and wondering if whether or not it's worth it. Did she not actually have any ideas?
見返りなんていらない。
それって貸してくれないっていうこと？
Rimi looked sad.
そっか。
いや違う、見返りなんて必要ないってこと。普通に貸すよ。
Okay.
タク、ありがと
Hooray. I thought she might jump on me and give me a hug right there. Or that smooch I wanted. Normally girls were never happy about anything I did. My God. What a loser. I was glad I'd worked up the courage to say she could borrow it.
う。嬉しい。じゃあ見返りなしで借ります。となれば善は急げ。タクの家にレッツゴー。
Did she just say let's go? Not ganbate? Oh, who'd want to hang out in this fucking heap? I managed to get back to the base safely. Of course, it was thanks to Rimi. I was grateful to her. I wish she hadn't refused me when I asked for a little time to clean up my room before she came in.
だって前に来た時に汚いっていうのはよー
Yeah,
く
you don't have to clean it. I don't give a shit. I know you fucking suck, you slob.
かっこつけなくてもいいって。私とタクの中でしょ。
Hmm? Were we too close for that? My memories of Rimi were completely gone, so I don't really know. Sometimes I was surprised at how overly friendly Rimi seemed. It didn't really bother me. It does bother him. It doesn't really bother him now, but it bothered him like 45 minutes ago. Was she really serious when she said she didn't care if I cleaned up my room? You can tell if she's looking around at stuff and constantly going, ugh, 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 what is that? There were discarded food containers from the convenience store on the floor, stacks of H-game boxes with XXX rated covers on the bed. Why are they on the bed? Either Rimi was really brave or she didn't see me as any kind of potential threat. I wasn't sure I felt about either option. You should feel mortified by both. Rimi said she didn't. Rimi didn't seem to have noticed my discomfort at all, though. She was down on the sofa and was staring at the lyrics book sheet from the Phantasm CD. Book sheet. What the fuck? From the Phantasm CD. I sat down on my computer chair. At last, I could relax. Fear had worn me down today, but I didn't feel as tired as I thought I would. Probably because Rimi was here with me.
さて、どうしよっか。
Please leave. She shut the lyrics booklet and gave a big stretch. You know, like what you say to a dog or a cat. What should we do? Don't ask me. Rimi hadn't come here to hang out. She hadn't come to borrow a CD either. I was glad she was staying here, but what exactly were we supposed to do? Did we have to do anything? If this was an H game, we'd go straight to an H scene. But, no, I shouldn't be thinking about stuff like that right now. He's learning. Being alone in my room with a 3D girl was already a tense enough situation. If I started having delusions, I might end up saying something I regretted. You know, talking to women is so easy. This guy just sucks. Silence. Rimi was sitting there, staring at the manga on the floor and the H games on the bed. This was awkward. I invited a girl over and she just couldn't help but stare at my fucking hentai collection. I felt like I should say something, but the only things I knew how to talk about were anime and video games. Oh my god, get a hobby. I couldn't imagine Rimi knew much about either of them. Yeah, girls don't watch anime or play games. It was Rimi who'd offered to stay with me. Maybe she'd see something. If she was hoping for me to take the lead in the conversation, she was asking the wrong person. I really hated dealing with 3D girls. This is her fault. You shouldn't have been 3D, chica. I appreciated her being here with me, but this silent pressure was unbearable. Part of the problem is how dark this room is. Yeah, that's the problem. It's too dark. You just can't see how horrible it all is. It made the mood feel kind of erotic. Did it? Can you imagine sitting with a partner in this sort of a location and being like, romance oozing from every moldy pore? I turned my back to my PC, unable to bear the awkwardness anymore. There was something I had to... just gonna start Googling shit with you in the room. I'm just gonna Google gay swords. Is it possible to turn thoughts in your head into a video? What Senna had told me about before VR technology and how humans run on electricity felt like it could be a good starting point. You do realize I am still in the fucking room. Rimi stood up and walked over to me. Should I explain? But how to explain? It felt like it would be a big pain in the ass, so I'll just say nothing. Since I didn't answer, Rimi started poking me in the back with her finger. I couldn't just ignore her, right? Can you tell as we go to delude.com? I kept typing search keywords into the browser instead of looking back at her. If anything, I was looking at Seda-tan as I spoke. The one true girl. Right? Ha 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 ha, isn't that stupid? Anything they wanted, huh? That might be true. In your delusions, you could do anything, no matter how unreal. If those delusions could become real, that would mean the unreal could become real, also. I love how mocking. She's like, this is fucking shit. Are you serious? Is this why you've been acting so weird? I wasn't looking at her, but I could sense her giving me a sigh of disbelief. I decided to show her the image of the patent that Shiho had found for me. She's immediately turned. You know, patent doesn't really mean everything. It doesn't mean it exists. Ooh ah. I can read English, it ain't that impressive. She was so close. I could even see the sparkle in her eyes and the monitor's light reflected off them. My heart skipped a beat again. She seemed to have taken an interest. I tried my best not to think about how close she was, moving my head so that I could see both Seda-tan and the monitor at all times, in case Seda pops out of the monitor and fucking smacks her.
生まれながらに盲目の人でもビデオカメラみたいな映像機器を
ビデオカメラが目の代わりっていう
Whose eyes are those? It was the camera. Cameras are the villains.
そう VR
It's Kodak. That's who they're after in this game. Kodak is the enemy.
へえもし本当だったらすごい
VR, if that's true. VR, I'll never catch on. Senna said that they'd even succeeded in testing it.
でも機械を使って目が見えるようになるのと妄想私頭悪いからよくわかんない
Ha. As I explained my theory to Rimi, I kept on typing keywords into the search engine, but nothing was coming up. I kept going
映像
anyway.
機器に映る景色も脳内で思い浮かべた妄想も電気信号
Yeah, your
だから
delusions are just electricity, and we turn them into videos. Duh.
逆に考えるんだ
Oh, think of it the other way around. Don't think about sending signals
脳内から電気信号
from the brain. I see. Her responses were dull, almost blank. Maybe she didn't understand at all. I was tired of explaining things to her, so I just stopped talking. Just fucking whatever. You don't understand my one shitty explanation. We're just gonna stop talking. I didn't really need her to understand anyway. It was just an idea I'd come up with. Rimi was still nodding and murmuring even though I had stopped talking. I decided to just ignore her. Just fuck it, just go home. No matter how much I searched, I couldn't find anything to back up my theory. I decided to change my approach and look at patents instead of web pages. I went to the English site that Shiho had told me about that had a list of patents. I would look and see if anything there could give me any hints. Though. After following a bunch of links, I finally found something similar to what Shiho had shown me before. It was a different patent document than the one for the VR device. I decided to read it immediately.
神経信号パルスを遠隔地からモニターしそれを映像および音声として再現する装置と
おお
The girl's interested again. It was just what I thought of. I leaned forward out of my chair.
これすごいぞ
すごいの何が
簡単に言うと
It's basically a device.
他人の思考を盗撮する技術だ
Even if I were to hide what I'm feeling for you, you'd figure it out, 'cause you're a mind reader. Mind reader.
おお盗撮
In other words, you could use a special device to take a look at the images and sounds inside a person's head. Chewing on ice and trying to talk at the same time. Not a very successful operation I got going on here. And it even said you can monitor these nerve impulses from satellites. With this, you could read the mind of anybody on Earth. How do you zero in on just one?
本当にそんなことできるの SF
It's from a sci-fi game.
そういう類
特許ってそのシステム自体が完全に仕上がってないと
Do they?
絶対に取得できないんだ
Is that 100% true? That's what I'd read when I looked up patents online.
だから
And why would Google ever, or Delugal, ever lie?
ことだよ
This wasn't fiction. If you had the money and the technological prowess to make the system, you could do it anytime you wanted. I remembered what Senna had said.
ある意図的な情報を神経パルスへコンバートすることが人の五感すべてさらには人の意志そのものもコントロールできるんじゃないか
Uh-huh. I hadn't found any source to confirm or deny that, so it was just a guess. It was a guess. But the theory I'd come up with had a source. Oh my god, he actually cites a source. Better than a bunch of other pseudo-fucking scientists online who can't do that. Why wasn't this incredible news anywhere to be found in Japan? It felt like you could win a Nobel for it easily. I decided to search for things involving mind reading. What I found was a record of an American court proceeding.
また英文だ
That's how I feel whenever I pick up a book. Ugh, English again.
頭痛くなってきそうだよ
It was pretty long, so I didn't feel like trying to read it all. I decided to use translation software, even if it meant I might end up with something a little off. Basic idea? Something like this. Legal proceedings. Plaintiff Nathan Rabin. Oh no. They got Nathan Rabin. They saw your wonderful world of trash and decided to sue you for it. Plaintiff's claims. Oh, he sued. Nathan Rabin sued the CIA. That was the real joy of trash. I am a hostage to the satellites. I am exposed to attack by multiple satellites night and day. 1. Tracking. 2. Mind reading. 3. Observation of my entire body. 4. Biofrequency attacks. 5. Audio attacks. 6. Inducement of physical weakness. I turned him into a Manchurian candidate. Beginning in late December 1990, I have been shown artificially created dreams, including audiovisual and voice content, during my sleep. Between the months of February and May of 1992, hey, I was born a month before that, in January of 1992. As a victim of biofrequency attacks, pain, torture, harassment. I probably was too, or I thought I was, but I was a dumb little baby, so I just thought everything was pain, torture, and harassment. I recognized that these were attacks upon my person, and beginning in February of 1992, I began to record the following in my notes. Time, date, contents of particularly painful psychological attacks. These biofrequency attacks were performed upon every part of my body. The pain, torture, and harassment were finely tuned so that they would cause unpleasurable sensations, exhaustion, and pain to parts. Pain to parts, and sometimes all of my... to parts and sometimes all of my body. The major parts of my body that were affected were as follows. The cock. Chest, vision, abdomen, brain, to cause sleep disorders. Brain, again, to cause me to have artificial dreams. Oh, the cock left alone. Interesting. Mind reading, stealing thoughts. Oh, the government did it. Oh, fuck.
私これ知ってる。何年か前に映画で見た。
But these court proceedings were real. I took it from ScreenRant.com. There were 2 possibilities. The plaintiff was crazy, or it was real. No in between. Hard to tell which was true. After seeing the patent, it was probably real, but still. Senna and ISA weren't crazy, especially ISA. Down in that tunnel, I'd seen her split into 2. I hadn't seen the moment it had happened, but when I turned around, there was another ISA. And I'd seen her pull the D-sword out from nowhere, too. That wasn't a hallucination or a delusion. After seeing that, I couldn't call her crazy. I mean, you could, but there was also what she'd said. So that strange thing I'd witnessed had happened because I'd seen it in my delusions? Was that what ISA had meant by power? The power to project delusions into reality? And it was possible that I had it? No. I was jumping to conclusions. Maybe there was a system that could use science to turn delusions into video footage, but that didn't mean psychic powers were real. I don't know how. I don't want to. But if maybe the way to get a D-sword involves some kind of psychic power. Maybe if I just used extrasensory, super effective against grass. No, it's not. What a psychic is strong against? Who fucking cares? I always forget. It's weak to bug. It's weak to dark. Psychic strong against itself. It's strong against fighting. Mind over matter. I always forget a lot of those mnemonics with... I always forget psychic and poison. Like poison I think is strong against ground, which is... Or the other way around. Like I said, I never remember. I've been playing Pokemon for fucking goddamn 28 years. I always forget. To this day. I stood in the middle of the room and held it out in front of me. It's the best approximation of an ESO character that I could do. Time to envision a sword. Remy was looking at me. Our eyes met. What the fuck are you doing? She was grinning. I could feel my face getting warm. I picked up the sword and posed with it, forgetting there was someone in there. Just fucking holding the sword out like that's it. You're done. In Rimi's eyes, I must look like a total weirdo. Maybe. Well, I think we can continue looking at how weird he is with whoever's eyes these are next time.